Doctrines have a major effect on the stats of your army, navy, and air force in Hearts of Iron 4. Today we're talking about the most rage-inducing piece of doctrine Paradox has ever concocted. I'm of course talking about Mass Assault. Is Mass Assault really that good though? The answer here is simply, it depends. In single player, it is not quite as strong as it can be in multiplayer. In fact, it is in most cases rather useless compared to other doctrines. To understand why though, let's go through the doctrine itself. Mass Assault starts by boosting reinforce rate and reducing the minimum training level. It grants a 10% reduction in out-of-combat supply penalties, 48 hours extra supply grace for encircled units, 5 additional max entrenchment, and 5 extra infantry organization. From this point, it splits into 2 different paths. First, we'll look at the left side path, Deep Battle. Deep Battle gives a variety of bonuses related to planning, reinforcing, and armored organization, which makes it a bit of a fusion between Mobile Warfare and Grand Battle Plan. It starts off by reducing overall supply consumption by 10%, granting 2 organization to tanks and armored cars, 10% maximum planning, and 5% extra reinforce rate. It then further reduces supply consumption by another 10% and reduces the combat width of infantry by 0.4, allowing bigger templates to fill less width. It then gives tanks, armored cars, and infantry additional organization and plus 10% breakthrough. Finally, it gives more organization and recovery rate to tanks and amphibious infantry, reduces org loss when moving by 25%, and grants an additional 5% reinforce rate. What is supposed to make this path strong is the ability to instantly reinforce battles. However, generally speaking, units in Hoi 4 join battles pretty fast, and if necessary, the result can also be achieved by adding signal companies to your divisions. The fact that there is such a cheap and easy alternative available for supposedly the strongest bonus in this doctrine makes it incredibly weak in comparison to the other 3. The right side path, Mass Mobilization, is an entirely different beast. It's the shortest doctrine path in the game and also one of the strongest defensively. It starts by reducing division attrition and increases damage to enemy garrisons in occupied states. It then buffs infantry recovery rate while adding an additional 5% reinforce rate, grants infantry, tanks, and armored cars extra organization, reduces infantry combat width while increasing reinforce rate by a whopping 15%, while also granting an additional 5% recruitable population. The last tier, however, is the best one, granting a 30% reduction in non-combat supply penalties, increasing resistance growth in occupied states, increasing army recovery rate by 0.20%, and giving access to one of the most annoying tactics in the game, guerrilla tactics. So, let's go back to the beginning for a second where I mentioned Mass Assault as a whole is pretty much useless in single player. That is because both these doctrine paths lack the pushing power that the other doctrines provide. The Mass Mobilization path in Mass Assault is pretty much built around using guerrilla tactics to slow down and halt enemy pushes. What guerrilla tactics does is reduce enemy combat stats to the point where even tanks have the punching power of a pool noodle. This of course has amazing synergy when used defensively, while other countries with offensive doctrines use your ability to bog down the enemy to drive around and encircle them. What makes it rather useless in single player is of course the fact that defending indefinitely against the AI while having no real ability to counterattack does not help you reach your objectives. In multiplayer, however, it is possibly one of the most frustrating doctrines to play against. So, to summarize, the Mass Assault doctrine looks nice on paper but does not work that well in practice because pocket defense and defense in depth don't really work that well in Hoi 4. The Deep Battle path, so Mass Assault left, is weaker offensively than the other 3 doctrines. The Mass Mobilization path, so Mass Assault right, is an amazing defensive doctrine, but it works best in conjunction with other doctrines. Generally speaking, Mass Assault works well in the defensive role in multiplayer, but is not a doctrine I would ever really recommend using in single player unless you have a specific plan in mind. If this video was helpful, feel free to subscribe and leave a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, make sure to let me know in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, have a good day.